I'm Austin Heyman. Welcome to Seniors Today, a monthly program produced by the Commission on Aging and devoted entirely to issues and interests of Montgomery County seniors. This month we learn more about what social networking is really all about and the difficulties of hoarding and what the county is trying to do about it. But first, over 20 million people in this country have difficulty with their hearing. In fact, 45% of those above the age of 65 have some hearing loss. Why is that? And what can be done about it? Well, joining me to answer these questions is Susan Yaffe-Oziel, the Director of Audiology for the Family Hearing Center. Well, welcome to Seniors Today.
Thank you.
Well, this statistic is pretty alarming that hearing loss is that prevalent. What are the signs of hearing loss?
There are a variety of signs, some of which include people turning the television louder, family members complaining to an individual that they're having difficulty hearing or misunderstanding what is said. Also, people having difficulty hearing over the over the phone.
Right.
And also, people tell us sometimes they don't enjoy the theater or the movies as much.
Wow.
Right.
So somebody at least identifies that they've got a problem, and so what do they do about it?
Well, oftentimes they don't do anything about it,
Right.
and oftentimes they come to our center because a family member has requested that they have a hearing evaluation. But whether a family member requests it or they themselves make that decision, usually they need to have a hearing evaluation first by an audiologist, and an audiologist can define whether or not the hearing problem exists.
Sometimes testing of the
Yes.
range of hearing. And,
Yes.
I know that I was once told that the high hearing loss I had, I guess because I was in the Army once and shot guns at the time, and the high hearing went. But I mean, I otherwise could hear fine, but the top though.
Yes, that's what we call a noise-induced hearing loss, but also there are many adults who have hearing loss in the high frequencies as well as they get older.
So the hearing test itself, is that something that Medicare or insurance covers, or is that?
Medicare definitely covers hearing testing as long as there's a need to do it because of a medical necessity.
So a doctor needs to say that?
So an individual needs to have a prescription from a doctor.
Right.
Yes, and there are some insurance companies that cover hearing testing.
So you've had the test and there's a problem.
Yes.
What's the next step?
The next step is the audiologist, who is the individual who does the evaluation, will review the results with the patient, and based on those test results will make a variety of recommendations. The recommendations may range anywhere from the need to see a physician, maybe perhaps the individual has wax in their ear, or a medical problem shows up in the testing, or they will recommend hearing aids. Again, that's based on the results of the hearing evaluation.
I understand that the hearing aids themselves can be quite expensive. What is the kind of range of costs that you would?
Mm-hmm. Hearing aids range anywhere from about the $800 to $900 per hearing aid on up to as high as $3,200 per hearing aid. And again, that depends on the office that they go to, and the recommendation for the hearing aid is typically based on the degree of loss the type of loss, the specific problem the individual's having, and also the individual's lifestyle.
Before we forget, we want to be sure that if somebody has some additional questions that you can answer, that we put a phone number up. You want to give us the phone number?
Yes, the phone number for the Family Hearing Center is 301-738-1415.
And is there also an email address?
There is. If anyone has any questions, they can email me at syaffe-oziel@ttlc.org.
Great. So this cost, again, would the cost of the hearing aid also be covered by Medicare, or insurance?
That's a good question. Medicare does not cover the cost of hearing aids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Medicare does not.
It's like the dental problem.
And we're often asked by people, why is that? And it's difficult to answer. There are some insurance companies that cover a portion of the cost of a hearing aid. And again, that would be something a patient needs to find out about prior to their visit to the audiologist, or the audiologist can help them with that information.
My understanding is that the technology about hearing aids has changed dramatically. Is that correct?
It has. It has. It's very exciting to me as an audiologist. The technology has improved greatly. I've been working 33 years in the field,
wow,
and the technology is completely different as it was when I first started out. Now we have very discrete small hearing aids.
That's what I understood.
Hearing aids that come in different colors, different shapes and sizes, but most importantly, we have hearing aids that are able to be programmed or modified according to the individual's hearing loss. So it's based on the individual we are fitting, which is very important. And a lot of these hearing aids now are much better at processing speech in the presence of noise.
I was going to say, I've noticed that some of our friends who have hearing aids don't like to be in a restaurant with a lot of, but you say the technology is changing?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Years ago, people wouldn't wear their hearing aids in restaurants.
Yeah, we just take
they take them out.
Right.
Now we have hearing aids that process speech and noise better, and consequently, the hearing aid can reduce some of that background noise. It doesn't take it away completely, but it can reduce some of that background noise at for different frequencies or pitches, and consequently people find that they can follow conversation better than not having a hearing aid on at all.
What do you see as the biggest obstacle to people going down this road of being tested? And
Good question. I think part of it is sometimes people are completely unaware that they have a hearing problem. And it isn't until a family member or a friend makes a comment. I recently had a patient who was an attorney, and a judge asked him not to go into the courtroom again unless he did something about his hearing.
Wow.
But I think the obstacle itself is the cosmetic obstacle, and also the fact that people always felt hearing aids were a sign of aging.
Right.
And it's very difficult to accept that sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's funny because people wear glasses when they're 14,
Absolutely,
you know,
yeah.
because you don't normally have hearing aids when you're 14.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more of a fashion statement, glasses. Well, now we're trying to make hearing aids a little bit more fashionable by having them come in different sizes and shapes and colors.
Well, you've given us a lot of information. For those of who want more, you call you up and we'll get more information. And it's a problem that we haven't issue we haven't covered before, and so I'm delighted that you could join us today. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
When we come back, we'll explore what social network really means these days, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.
We can all be energy savers. It's easy. Turn off lights. Use energy-saving light bulbs. And turn off electronics and appliances when not in use. Make a change and we can really fly. Learn more at energy.gov/kids.
Welcome back to Seniors Today. Your grandkids are doing it. Even your children are doing it. The question is, are you doing it? I'm talking about social networking, Facebook and tweeting. We thought we'd invite someone to the show to get a little more information. So joining me is Donna Arriaga, a consultant with OASIS, a national education program for adults age 50 plus, promoting successful aging through lifelong learning, health programs, and voluntary engagement. Well, welcome to Seniors Today. This is the first time we've covered social networking. So what is it?
Oh, It's a very, very broad topic. So social networking, very simply, is an opportunity for people to connect and engage online. Some of the most common platforms are, of course, Twitter and Facebook. And they allow for very easy sharing of photographs and of life experiences.
So let's start with Facebook. I know a little bit about it, not a lot. So you have to join Facebook?
You do. In order to share photos and to communicate with other people through Facebook, you do need to have an account. And a lot of questions that I get about social media, Facebook and Twitter, are what does it cost? Do I have to pay something to be a part of it? And both of the social networks are totally free to participate in.
So you have to register. What do you have to put in to register? How much information about yourself?
Yeah. You enter your name, first name, last name, your birthday, and an email address. And there's been a lot of recent stress these past few years on using a real identity in social networks. The goal is, with that push, is to really help connect people in an authentic way. So when you connect with Sally Smith, you know that's actually Sally Smith that you're connecting with.
Okay. So I mean, I guess for older adults, the idea of connecting with their grandchildren.
Yes. You know, I've often heard a lot of people share with me that one of the motivations for getting onto Facebook was because a grandchild helped set them up with an account, and or maybe even an adult child who is just that's their mode, their means for sharing photos. And sometimes, in order to stay up to date and to see those photos, the easiest way sometimes for family members is to connect through Facebook.
But I know for some people there's a question of privacy. How does that fit into this?
Yeah, privacy and security is a very, very important issue when it comes to social networking. And Facebook has a lot of privacy and security settings that an individual can use to really ratchet and take control. So an individual can choose, on the one hand, to be completely open and share almost everything with the world on Facebook. On the other hand, security settings can be set up such that a person can really limit the amount of information that is shared. Now, with that said, something I really, really like to remind people is what is sometimes thought of as personal is not always private. So, for example, even if somebody has those security settings really ratcheted down and tight, if you share information, there's really nothing to stop another individual from reposting. So even though there are a lot of opportunities for really safeguarding privacy and security, it's so important to remember that things can very quickly and easily be shared.
But there seems to be hundreds of millions of people using Facebook.
Yes.
So it seems to be very popular, and I guess it's a way for some people to reduce social isolation.
Absolutely. You know, in addition to, just to kind of touch, in addition to Facebook and Twitter, Skype has been something that a lot of people have found very, very helpful, connecting with family members that might be across the other side of the country, and that's you know, offers the great opportunity to not just see photos and read updates, but really see those, you know, live, real-time images.
That's terrific. I've used that myself. Now, I understand Oasis, you give some classes for people to introduce to Facebook and Twitter.
Right, right.
We should put up let's have your phone number so that people can call you, or the web address.
Okay. Well, I'll share the phone number for Oasis so people can contact them and find more information about classes on social media. That number is 301-469-4976. And also, I maintain a blog that's totally focused on social media and seniors. And actually, just last night before coming on here, I thought, you know, it would be good to post some resources up there.
Oh, great.
So there's a page on that blog. The blog is collaborativeinsights.org.
Collaborativeinsights.org.
Yes.
So you go there, and is there all kinds of resources?
There is a page specifically called resources.
Oh, great.
And there are a list of additional resources that people can get for more information on learning about social media.
Terrific. Now, we haven't talked about Twitter. All I know is if you listen to Diane Rehm, she says, you can send me a tweet. What's a tweet?
All right. A tweet is a very short snippet of information that is sent out through the Twitter platform. Some people refer to it as microblogging. So it's, you know, very, very...
A short message.
Exactly.
So it's limited in the number of letters or something?
Yes, 140 characters or less.
Right.
So you have to be very quick and concise.
So why does one want to do this?
Well, Twitter has been a really wonderful tool on the one side, for listening. So, you know, with social media, somebody can listen, or they can listen and interact. So on the listening side of it, it becomes a phenomenal resource for real-time news. So news stations, for example, may offer tweets on the latest local happenings. And then on the other side, it offers an opportunity to connect and share in the public discourse. For example, the Diane Reams show, instead of picking up the phone and calling in with a question, somebody can hop onto Twitter and share their question.
Yeah, and I've watched some of the television show, and they said, well, you can send me a tweet. It's the same idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty exciting. You mentioned before we went on the air that when there was the earthquake in the area not too long ago, that was a good illustration of the usefulness of.
Right.
Tell our audience a little bit about that.
Okay, so shortly after the earthquake, you know, understandably so, a lot of us were very, very nervous and wanting more information about the specifics. What had just happened? Is it an earthquake? If so, what was the magnitude? So I was able to take out my phone, get onto Twitter, and do a search about a local search on earthquake in DC. And based on that search, I was able to, within seconds, to get real-time information that I could share with the people around me about the magnitude of the earthquake.
That's great.
So, of course, the caveat is making sure you're safe and secure before getting onto Twitter.
Well, make sure you can still have electricity or whatever it is to be connected, or a battery that's working.
Right.
Well, so there are a lot of good reasons for social networking, which you've shared with us. Thanks so much for coming in. And it's a whole new area for many of us. But as I understand it, Oasis, your classes are fully booked.
They book up very quickly.
Great. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
When we return, we'll learn about the difficult issues surrounding hoarding and what the county is trying to do about it. So please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Did you know there are more than 10,000 county government phone numbers? Now there is only one number you need to remember for non-emergency calls, 311. MC 311 is Montgomery County government's new online and telephone information system. Need information? Have a problem or complaint? Trying to locate a county government facility? Call 311. The call center is open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The website is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Remember, call 311 to get it done.
Welcome back to Seniors Today. It is estimated that 2 to 5% of the American population may suffer from the affliction of hoarding. How prevalent is it in Montgomery County? And what is being done to help individuals? Well, joining me to talk about it is Bonnie Clem, the Supervisor of Adult Protective Services Investigations with the county's Department of Health and Human Services. Welcome to Seniors Today, Bonnie.
Thank you so much.
So why did the county create this hoarding task force that's just issued a report?
Well, you know, my first contact with hoarding was in '95 when I was a field worker, an APS investigator, and I walked into a home situation that I had no idea ever existed in life. And then it never stopped from there. I mean, we today see 10 hoarders a month in just in adult protective services. New referrals that come into us from the community, from neighbors, from relatives, from friends.
How do we define that word, hoarding?
Well, it's actually the acquisition of a great deal of items that hoarders think are very, very important, that we may not see a great importance to it, but it's the acquisition to acquire, but also the inability to get rid of the objects.
That could be food?
That can be food, that can be garbage. That can be Meals on Wheels packets that have been present in a refrigerator for months, maybe for years.
So, but it's not a new problem.
It's not a new problem. In fact, in 1970, we first got the first storage units. The business first started and became very powerful at that time. And truly, even our people who are homeless own storage units sometimes because they can't leave their things go.
So what is the danger to the individual or the community of hoarding?
Well, what happens is that when there are objects in a house, even in a locker, in a shelter, when there's a lot of things everywhere, people can fall, they can gather the kinds of garbage and objects that are, what comes then are rodents, maggots, vermin, even snakes. I've seen a snake in a home. I mean, it is really not a made-up story.
Well, but how common is this? I mean, we have 1 million people in Montgomery County.
Right. We figure from our hoarding task force, which began about 2.5 years ago, our guesstimation is, and also from code enforcement and the county attorney who works with some of the code enforcement issues on hoarding, we figure there are about 5,000 either homes or apartments or condos where there are hoarders, and that's a lot. That's a lot.
So what are we actually trying to do about this?
Well, our biggest goal in Montgomery County right now, Montgomery County government and the county council, is actually to inform people as to what actually is hoarding, how to recognize it, how to know whether this is just a lot of furniture next to each other, but lots of room to walk in and that sort of thing, running water in the house, and objects being used for what they're supposed to be used for. We're trying to get information out to the public and also to the hoarders that there is help, that they don't have to just hide behind a door, because that's what you usually see when you go to a hoarding house. You have somebody where the curtains are covering the windows completely, so you can't see. Sometimes it's newspaper, sometimes it's a sheet, but you can't see in. Nobody will open the door. Sometimes they can't open the door because there's objects behind the door. So that's what entails hoarding.
Well, let's say I'm someone who hoards and I want some help. Where do I go for that?
Well, first of all, one of the best things to do at this point in time, if people want to read about this, is to go to our website and look up, Montgomery County website.
You have this report that's pretty detailed.
Exactly. We pull that together, and it tells you everything about hoarding, including the fact that hoarders are people just like us, the two of us, basically. We just don't have that illness.
So the website, let's give the website, we'll put it up on the screen too.
Absolutely, that's an important thing to do because
the
there's
website
help.
is Montgomery?
Montgomery County, www.montgomerycountymaryland.gov/hoarding.
Okay.
And it's a very extensive, an extensive piece of information all about hoarding and what to understand and how to deal with it. Now, how do people get help? We have now trained a lot of our public agencies and private agencies in Montgomery County to go ahead and run support groups, because not everybody can afford to pay for private therapy. Now, private therapy is a long, ongoing process, and it's wonderful, but you have to have insurance, etc. But if they want to go to some of the support groups, there are now 3 active support groups in Montgomery County, and there'll be lots more within a very short period of time.
So also there's a phone number that folks can call to get the information.
Yes, just to get their first contact, especially neighbors who don't want to cause trouble, but they're having terrible smells in their neighborhood. They're seeing rats. They're seeing everything else. They need to report it. Call 311 because 311 knows where to send the request to.
Right.
They can send it to code enforcement. They can send it to the crisis center if people are involved who need the help, and they can also send the information to APS or CPS.
So if I need help, that's where I could turn. But if you also have a neighbor who you think needs some help, you can point them in that direction.
Exactly. Often people will call the police, and they will call us, or fire and rescue will answer a 911 call, and they will call us as well. And if people are vulnerable in the house, and that includes children as well as vulnerable adults, APS or CPS are very ready to work with them as well.
So I can gather there's a strong psychological component.
Very much so. This is not something that people decided one day, I'm going to, like, I want to be a concert pianist, or I want to be a hoarder, in other words. They have come by it. Sometimes it's genetic. The median age for a hoarder is 50 years old, but the reality is that we've seen young people as young as 10 years old who are hoarders.
Wow. Well, you've given us a lot of information and a resource for people to go to on a very important topic. So thank you very much for coming in and sharing that information with us.
Thank you so much.
Don't forget that you can access a great deal of information about county services for seniors by going to the Montgomery County Senior website at www.montgomerycountymd.gov/seniors, or call the Senior Resource Line at 240-777-3000. As always, thank you for watching Seniors Today.